you've got some transformative research that you wanted to share, and I
Hmm.
really want you to kind of dig deep into what you think will impact not just the guys in academia, but the guys in the trenches, the guys in the salt
Ah,
mines.
let's talk about stuff that's happening right now. In our in our unit, we got tons of projects. I mean, everything from spread on and spray on skin to wearable robots to gene therapy to all these really cool things. But let's not talk about those. If you want, we can touch on those later. But actually, I'll tell you about something that I think is more important than all of those, and that is just good quality offloading for us. And we have a really big um, uh, study now funded by our U.S. National Institutes of Health, by the National Institutes of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, to be specific. And it's called the Smart Boot Study. And so check it out. I mean, we've all learned that, the gold standard in treating diabetic foot ulcers for offloading is a TCC, a total contact cast. The trouble is most places don't use total contact cast because they're, hot, heavy, or they're expensive, or, there's some reason, or patients don't like them. But most people use boots. The trouble is when we check how much folks wear the boot, we see from work that we did about 20 years ago, where we actually put activity monitors on the boots and activity monitors on the patient. These are in the early days of what people now call wearables. We found that folks were only wearing their device for about 28% of their total activity a day. And these are people with wide open plantar diabetic foot wounds. And we wonder why, when we put all this fancy stuff on the wound's not healing. Well, there's your answer. So what we did back then, because folks weren't wearing their device, we said, well, let's just take that boot that they're not wearing and literally just wrap it or put a little lock on it, wrap a Coban or some plaster around a removable cast boot. And we called that an instant total contact cast. And we figured anyone could do that. And it turns out that does really well. It was healing people about as well as a total contact cast. But people still hate it because they have to keep it on. So this study is trying to figure out how can we meet folks in the middle a little bit. And it's really practical and pragmatic for us. And so we are now randomizing folks with a boot that most people will want to wear because it looks kind of cool. It was designed by this guy, Mike DiTullo. We should put like a link in the show notes, Ben, so people can see all of this stuff. Mike designed second and third gen of Air Jordans, I think. He and there's another podiatrist that has a device called, I don't know if you know Jason Hanft.
I don't.
Oh my God, you got to interview Jason. Okay, so Jason's elite, world class diabetic foot researcher and just a great clinician. He and his wife Maria Supernat are in Miami. But he started a company. It's called, I think, Defender Boot, and they have a nice looking boot, and it offloads as well as the best other boot, but it looks good too. It's just designed nicely. And we're randomizing folks into a removable device, although we're counseling folks and telling them to wear it as much as possible. B, that same version, but it's irremovable, so we're locking it. Or C, a smart version of it, and we're putting a little wearable on the device, and it's linked up to a smartwatch that we give our patients. And what we're doing, we're trying to do something with the patient and not to them, in that we're saying, hey, Ms. Garcia, uh, your device, that's a great device, and I see you're wearing it here, but you're only wearing it for about 10% of your activity.